Hola, good morning everybody. My name is David Hernández Leo. I'm professor at Universitat Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona. I will talk about reflective perspectives of high school language learning teachers on generative AI in education. As I said, I'm based in Barcelona. Universitat Pompeu Fabra is a public young urban university. We are located near Glorias Square, also close to the beach. You are most welcome to visit us as you come to Barcelona. I'm the director of a research group, which is based in the School of Engineering, Department of Engineering. The group is interdisciplinary and international, and we work on advancing technologies and also understanding the impact and driving a positive impact when supporting teaching and learning. When so doing, our approach comes from a responsible design perspective, and we have been contributing to research and also science for policy initiatives in Spain, but also in Europe, trying to understand which are the directions for responsible design and use of artificial intelligence by children, especially in educational contexts. And these efforts are converging towards a perspective of understanding what are the rights of the child when using artificial intelligence by them and their communities. One way of summarizing that perspective is understanding that there is a tension between provision, protection, and also participation of the stakeholders. And indeed, generative AI exemplifies this tension. We have been trying to understand how teachers in different educational levels design lesson plans where they incorporate a potential use of generative AI to support students' learning. And we have tried to understand how are the reflections about the benefits, the impacts in terms of benefits, but also the ethical implications and what are the values that they are prioritizing in their designs. So I'm summarizing here one of the studies with language learning teachers. They were working in teams of 2 to 3 teachers. So 10 teams of teachers were designing lesson plans that incorporated the use of generative AI or proposing the use of generative AI by their students. And after designing the task, we were proposing then a reflection guide that were listing, and it was an open list of potential benefits, but also an open list of potential harms, including challenges and ethical implications. And they were reflecting on each of these benefits and values and also the challenges and harms, and they were trying to compare to what extent the benefits were surpassing the costs and the harms. These are examples of what the teachers were designing, and there were also examples that were common to the previous presentation, engaging with narrative structures, creative writing, generating poetry with different historical styles, discerning different factual from false information, and this kind of tasks that are connected to language learning. When it comes to the benefits and harms, they were emphasizing potential benefits that improve the effectiveness of learning. This has to do with learning more in the same time, more challenging learning, or efficiency, learning the same but in less time, for example, by having immediate feedback. But also benefits that emphasize higher levels of enjoyment through personalization, interaction, creative approaches to learning. On the other hand, in terms of harms, they were highlighting the harms that had to do with privacy and data security, the potential to reinforce their own biases, the environmental impact as well was highly also emphasized by teachers when it comes to the harms. And they were also mentioning over-reliance on digital tools and one of the challenges. What is important is not how the numbers compare in terms of benefits and harms. Still, there are small numbers. We are scaling the studies now with different profiles of teachers, but what is important is how complex it is for teachers to engage in responsible decision-making when it comes to designing activities for their students to learn involving the use of artificial intelligence. And it was interesting to see how some teams were unsure of whether the potential harms are surpassing the benefits for the specific designs. And they were asking and wondering how with careful management of the ethical considerations, they could achieve substantially overweighing the drawbacks. So these reflections coming from teachers are a call for action, for research and practice to answer these questions by identifying which are the best possible strategies that maximize the provision and the protection of the child, while also facilitating the participation of the stakeholders. In my research group in Barcelona, we are approaching that by introducing these kind of reflection guidelines that compare benefits and harms from the perspective of the individual teacher's values. Also, by creating teacher communities of practice platforms for the students to co-design and share their lesson plans involving the use of generative AI, such as the TRAINS platform, and by also articulating learning agreements that can be used by the teachers in explaining students the benefits and harms of generative AI, and also involving them in decision-making about generative AI will be used in their courses. That's all. Thank you very much. These are a cover to my slides and more. Gracias.